The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. This is Josh Lemaster. I'm calling you from Jacksonville, Florida, and appreciate everybody taking time to attend this webinar. I'm one of the co-founders and also the chief financial officer of Perfect Golf Event, and I know some of you uh, came to this webinar on a Perfect Golf invitation, and some came from a Vortex invitation. But I'm going to just kind of introduce things here, and then Eric Anderson with Vortex is going to take over. But just from Perfect Golf Events perspective, and just talking about rain insurance a bit, this is our 10th year, running or being involved with thousands of events all over the country. And we, for a long time, we're looking for ways to mitigate the risk of rain and other weather situations at golf events, especially the ones that we're heavily involved in. And we came to know Vortex, who's also got an office located here near us in Northeast Florida, and got to know Eric and the difference with Vortex Weather Insurance, mainly based on the difference from event cancellation insurance, which we were not very fond of and had not had great experience with. So so Perfect Golf, we're happy to provide software solutions and day of event contests and everything needed to make a fun and great event, but we can't control the weather. And for that purpose, I will turn it over to Eric and take it away.
Josh, thank you so much for the introduction there, and welcome everyone. We've got a really big group today from all over the country, so Happy New Year and thanks for attending. Couldn't be more thrilled to start our over 3 years in running now with Perfect Golf Event. We feel they're the best in the business. We've had a great relationship, and we look to continue our partnership with them for many more years to come. So I'm going to talk for about 20 minutes. I'm going to go through some slides, but throughout the presentation, whether you're a first-time event, you're running an event for your first time, or you've been doing it for 25 years, okay? I want you to think about, whether you've been hit by rain or what rain could do to your bottom line for your revenue, your costs, whether you get a little bit of rain, a medium amount, or you're completely washed out. Because you can actually have a rain event and purchase a certain policy where it triggers and continue to have your event. And I'll go through that. But continue to watch the slides, and I'm going to go through this. And then at the end, we'll go through the questions. We usually have a bunch of questions, and we'll take it from there. So we always say, don't let bad weather slice into your club's bottom line. You can't predict the weather, but you can help protect your business from it. So here's a myth that insurance agencies don't know weather. Well, it turns out that we are weather nerds. We're proud of that. Our team has over 100 years of combined experience in the weather risk management industry, and we've been helping protect events since 2008 using data-driven policies that mitigate risk. A little bit more about us. We're a subsidiary of MSI Guaranteed Weather, which has been in the weather risk management industry for more than a quarter century. And in 2008, we basically started covering fairs and festivals and concerts with this product, all outdoor events, really. And then in 2019, we realized that there was an untapped market in the golf side. So we started then, and basically Guaranteed Weather / Vortex. I was their broker for over 15 years, trading weather on their behalf. So they hired me, and we've been together ever since. Another question we get all the time is who's our carrier, and that's our parent company, Mitsui Sumitomo, and we're rated by A+ best. So we get asked that all the time. So here's a picture of me. I'm the National Director of Sales. Nice to meet everybody. I've been in the weather derivative space for over 20 years now. I played golf professionally before this. I worked at Augusta National when I played professionally. So I've been around the game a long time. I've been in the weather derivative space. I understand how golf tournaments are run, whether it's a charity event, all the way up to the PGA Tour and Champions Tour, which buy policies from us. and everything in between. And I'll go through that here in a second. So it's nice to meet you. Here's another myth. In the golf business, you can't fight Mother Nature. And we say not so fast. We say you can stand up to Mother Nature and help protect your revenue with Vortex. Across the country, savvy golf course operators are using rain insurance as a risk management hedge, tournament providers, etc. So we want to think about all of the things that could potentially how we can use rain insurance as a hedge, and that's anticipated heavy play periods in and around your tournament, whether it's the day before, the morning before, the afternoon. We write policies for seasonal and monthly hedges, Monday golf outings, holiday weekends. It's a big driver of our business. Members, member guests. We do different policies for different days. I write 2 policies sometimes per event within one day, the evening before, and then with the actual tournament. I can help hedge and show you ways to mitigate your risk that way. And then we say, okay, what's at risk? It's the play-related revenue within your tournament, okay? And all of the things that go into it, okay, within the pro-ams. You want to think about food and bev, your costs within your member guest events, corporate outings, any kind of fundraiser, charity, memorial, etc. And obviously food, beverages, alcohol, huge driver, merchandise revenue within the tournament, etc. So we can help with all kinds of events like this. So this next slide is very important to understand. So it's rain insurance versus property and casualty, okay? And the chance of sustaining an adverse rain occurrence for a golf event is significantly greater compared to traditional P&C events, okay? So here's the chance of a potential insurance claim on a single day over a 20-year period. 0.015 and 0.003, not very much, right? But when you look at those percentages versus this map of the United States, okay, as a comparison, here's a chance of just 1/4 of an inch of rain falling on any single day between June and August. Look at those numbers. So even out west, okay, so significantly greater. And that's why we help different groups like yourself understand whether you hedge all of your risk or 50% of your risk, so you're not running blind and just taking a chance and rolling the dice for your tournament. So here's another slide. So basically a myth. Rain insurance is complex. Good news is that we make it simple. And this is how it works. So rain insurance is parametric. What does that word mean? That means that basically it's triggered. Rain insurance is triggered simply if the recorded rainfall at your location meets or exceeds the threshold listed in the policy during the coverage period, okay? Another very important point, proof of loss or event cancellation is not necessary for the policy to trigger and pay a claim. So basically you can play through, okay, an event. It can rain and then get sunny, or it can trigger and you can continue to play through it and get paid. So you can double dip, so to speak. Also, very important to understand is we have a very quick and simple claim processing. Payment is typically mailed in less than 2 weeks. So what does that mean? If the policy is triggered, we send you an expiration report by the NOAA, okay? And if it does trigger, you're getting a check in less than 2 weeks. This is not indemnity, okay? So if it's triggered, you're paid. It's that simple. So you don't have to wait 6 months, 9 months, a year for claim adjustments. Okay, so this is again how it works. So Vortex uses stage 4 claim determination system, okay? And that's basically, there's grids across the whole country that are 2.5 miles by 2.5 miles. So what we do is we find your address of the golf tournament, okay, within a certain grid, and then that grid is measured by the NOAA hourly, and then we send you an expiration report. So if you have, say, a shotgun from 12 to 5 and it rains in the first hour, 0.08, nothing in the next 2 hours, and then you get crushed by rain, we'll show you the exact measurements by the government, okay, in an expiration report. And if it does trigger, you're paid. It's that simple. Basically, the rain insurance is recorded hourly, not on the half an hour. So if you're thinking about sending a submission to me, or I can walk you through it, I'll show you how it works. The measurements basically go as little as 0.01, and the triggering rainfall amounts go as low as 1/10 of an inch. Obviously, that's going to be more expensive than, say, 1/2 of an inch because the probability is greater. So policy options. Basic shotgun coverage, you know how that works. We have extended hours. What does that mean? So if you have an event or a double shotgun, you can buy as many hours as you want. I get asked this a lot, Eric, should I buy hours on the front end or the back end? I always say, depending on your budget, if you can buy 2 or 3 hours beforehand when people are getting to the golf course and warming up or having a lunch or a breakfast, I would prefer that you buy the hours on the front end versus the back end, because if people are playing and it starts to rain or they need to come in because they're wet on 15, 16, 17, etc., they're usually just going to go inside and want to have cocktails or hopefully spend more money inside for your charity or memorial or golf, whatever kind of golf tournament you're running to raise funds. And then we have our basic ladder coverage, which is step insurance. So the more that it rains, the more that you're paid back. And I can help you understand the metrics of your tournament and show you how this works. And I will in an example here in a second. So parametric options, hours of coverage, hours can vary per day for multi-day events, like a 2-day member guest, or sometimes there could be a party the night before outside, like a pro-am or an evening at a club, and then the next day you're going to have your tournament. So you could buy a 3-hour policy where you're raising money for the people that don't come and play golf. They just want to come and spend money for your charity, that kind of thing. Rainfall thresholds, the amounts can vary. We go as low as, like I said, 1/10 of an inch. We can go higher than an inch, and everything in between. The insurance limits, they can vary by day, and I can show you how that works. And we can get really creative for different events. The PGA Tour and the Champions Tour, I do 7-day policies. Some days have 3 hours, some days have 12 hours, all different rain thresholds. And sometimes I've written policies for events where, just say your charity gives you the golf course for the day. And I always get asked, Eric, what happens if it rains from midnight until 8 and we're on the tee and we get crushed by rain and then the golf course is not playable and then it's sunny? I said, well, you're not covered. So sometimes what people will do is they'll hedge part of their risk. They'll buy a smaller policy for the actual playing part and a larger policy for the evening before. And I can show you how that all works, but I just want you to understand that we can get really creative on how to protect your day, ultimately. Okay, so the use of hourly data allows us to concentrate only on the hours when rainfall can negatively impact business operations. I kind of just explained this, but eliminating hours in a day when revenue figures are not sensitive helps reduce the cost of the insurance. So if the budget, if it's your first year, if it's a little tight, we can back into policies. We can take an hour off the backside, which will lower the cost. And I could send you, 4, 5, 6 different scenarios. So we could chip away at where you think you wouldn't need an hour or 2 or 3, where it would help you with your cost situation. So here's a grid, and this is important to understand. This is what I can show you from a historical standpoint. So this is just an example of TPC, which is around the corner from me, in July of 19, from 7 in the morning until 7 in the evening on a ½ an inch. So this is the summertime, right? A decent amount of rain on a ½ an inch. It triggered 5 times. And by the way, a ½ an inch is a decent amount of rain. It's more than you think. And I can show you some historicals for depending on where you are in the country, the time of year, etc. But I can help you with this. So myth, rain insurance is too expensive. Well, that's changed since we got into the market. We can create a policy that fits your needs and budget, and I can help you with the pricing, like I was just explaining. So if you said, Eric, I only have X to spend, or can you show me 3 or 4 different scenarios? That's easy for us to do to try to help you, again, to back into a policy where it makes sense for your budget and you have the right amount of protection. So the pricing, I get asked this every single day. So rain insurance is priced using historical probabilities. So the factors include the location, okay? So Florida in the winter is different than Florida in the summer. It rains every day here, almost in the afternoons in the summer versus the winter time. The seasonality, Northeast in the summer, different than Northeast in the spring or fall. Also, Portland or Oregon is going to be different than, say, Arizona, right? Again, time of day, afternoon, historically rains more than the morning time here in Florida and around the country. But I can show you that with that grid that I just showed you a second ago. Obviously, the amount insured, that's going to, the higher the amount, the more expensive. I can help you with the rain thresholds and deductibles and show you what I think is smart for a certain period of time. For example, on a 6-hour window, I don't think that you're going to need 1/5 of an inch. I'm probably going to show you, say, 1/3 or a half, right? Where you're going to save some money, but it's also, you can kind of play through those kinds of amounts. Okay, so here's an example of a quote on just $10,000 in 2021 in the winter time down in Palm Beach Gardens. Okay, the cost to protect $10,000 on a 5-hour shotgun is $420. Okay, that's obviously mid to late morning until the middle of the afternoon. Gets cheaper as the threshold gets higher because the probability of that much rain is lower. Obviously, you can understand that. And this is our standard style. Okay, this is basic. You buy a threshold. If it hits that threshold within the hours that the coverage period, you're paid in less than 2 weeks. So this is our tiered approach or ladder approach. So this means in the event, again, a shotgun on coverage of $150,000 at TPC, if it were to rain 0.20 and not 0.33 in the coverage period, you would get paid $15,000. If it were to rain through 0.33 and not touch 0.5, you would get paid the $15,000 and the $45,000, so $60,000. So basically, the more that it rains, the more that you're paid back. And it's something to think about your clientele at your tournament. Sometimes you have events where it's the same group for 10 years and they're going to play through and they're going to stay no matter what. I would probably, send you towards the standard style. If it's a newer event, or sometimes you're going to have a lot of people that are just kind of tagging along, et cetera, that if it starts to rain, they're going to leave and they're not going to go and spend money on the golf course or inside at the lunch or dinner and buy flags signed by Tiger, et cetera. You might want to look at, the tiered approach because the more that it rains, the more people leave, and then the less you'll make, so the more that you'll get paid back. And I help the PGA Tour and the Champions Tour with the metrics of this, because we can equate the metrics to people leaving, spending less, with beer and food and merch, that kind of thing. Here's another, as an example, as a 3-day member guest at Snee Farm. So it's just sometimes I wanted to show you this because the hours are different, okay, for each day. They picked the same threshold and the limit the same, okay? So they looked at the math, who was going to be there, and we backed into a policy where for coverage of $12,000 a day with different hours, it cost them $1,640 to cover $36,000. Each day is independent of the other days. So here's a sample payout of a customer we've done a lot of business with. He had a rain date, and I'm asked this all the time, or people say, Eric, we have a rain date. Well, typically, depending on the area of the country, because golf courses are so filled, sometimes you don't have rain dates, or you have to schedule something so far in advance, or the next several months down the road, you're going to lose a lot of people. So what we always say is, even with a rain date, we highly suggest that you buy at least a certain percentage of of coverage, so you're not unhedged. And for this example with Gary in Pinnacle, he had a rain date, he got paid out very quickly. He turned around and he bought a policy for the rain date as well. Here's our portal. You can go online, you can price things, send submissions, which will come to me. But I can also, pricing usually is sent back to you. But I can help you customize things, create policies, quotes in seconds. You can track things, your own quotes, policies, your claims, stay organized. And you can always call me and I can help you work through these kinds of things. So as we get ready to wrap up here, just want to share that, we've worked with many PJ sections that all buy policies back from us. PJ Reach, Kevin Harvick's Pro-Ams, several Wall Street up in New York with the Met section, foundation tournaments, PJ Magazine, they just bought the third year. A lot of NFL alumni charity events through PJ Magazine. I think we've done over 10 events with them for the NFL. The demo day of PGA National, the PGA show next week. This is our third year. You might have seen the press release. So they bought it from us again. The Travelers, the PGA Tour, they just closed business with us again last week for their second year in a row. Very excited. Dick's, the Champions Tour event, they're going to be doing their third year with us. Very excited about that. Folds of Honor is a customer, obviously. Perfect Golf Event, our relationship with them, they're the best in the business. And Buffalo Group does all of our marketing. So you probably see their name associated with us, and they actually work with Perfect Golf Event as well. So that's exciting for all of us. And as we wrap up here, before we get into questions, here's just some partners, customers, very happy with working with us. But yes, Josh, so as we get to the next, as we conclude here, does anybody have their hand raised for questions?
Thanks, Eric. I appreciate that. There are a few things which I'll try and combine some of the questions that were sent to me directly. And also a couple housekeeping. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned this at the beginning. Everything that you've seen on the presentation will be shared with you both as an attachment PDF and as a recording. And I also have all of Eric's contact information on the email. So apologies, I forgot that in the beginning, but let me try and get these couple of questions in while we still have a few minutes. Eric, it looks like the one is kind of around the, what do they need to send to prove a loss after the event? That's kind of the gist of the question.
Yeah, great question. Ask that every single day, and we I know I went through the slides kind of quick, but that's the beauty of this. You don't need proof of loss, and your event does not need to be canceled to collect. We send you the data, which starts coming in, say 2, 3, 4 days afterwards from the government after it's gathered. And then after about 5 or 7 days, we send you the hourly rain in an expiration report, and we provide that for you. So you don't have to do anything.
Great. That answers that. I think the other one deals to two things, deal with timing in advance. So when do they need to make the decisions, and how is it like an airline ticket? Does it impact the pricing, when they're booking further out and things like that?
Yeah, no, great. Both great questions. So the last day that you can bind coverage is 15 days prior to your event. And that's so you can't cherry pick the forecast, right? We've had people call the day before a hurricane, and respectfully, I get it. But 15 days prior, usually everything's done through Braintree or PayPal. Very easy credit card. If you need to send a check or wire, you just got to do it a little bit in advance. So we do, we get it before the 15 days. Great question. And again, sometimes people have it as a line item. I'm doing a lot of deals right now for events later on in the year. They just want to lock it in now. Sometimes budget people need to wait all the way up until, that 15th day, which is completely fine. And we understand that. And I get it. I've run tournaments. I understand. But 15 days is the cutoff. And then from a pricing perspective, if I showed you a price today, you have 45 days to lock that price. If it's later in the year and I sent you something today, I would reprice it. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. We've had customers, it's not going to vary, too much. It could go up, depending on the size, a very small percentage, but it's not going to jump, hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So, but usually we have 45 days and then we'll have to reprice. And again, I want to just share that the claim process, we get the data, we send you the expiration report, and if it triggers, you're paid in less than 2 weeks. I'm asked that every day, all the time. So you have money in hand, and that's obviously extremely important. So wanted to touch on that.
I think we've got the questions covered from the chat. I would just add one thing to Eric's great presentation is the the size of your event. I recognize some of the names that have joined us today from work we do with you at Perfect Golf Event, and some of the examples Eric shared are for larger events, but you may have a smaller event with a $10,000 fundraising goal and just want to protect that major source of funding for the year, and just reach out to Eric or try it on their portal, and you'll price it out, and it will make sense even for the smaller events. So with all of that said, I'll say goodbye here. I'll be sending directly from my email the follow up with all the attachments and the recording. Be copying Eric. If you have any questions, you can reach right back out there. And Eric, thank you for your presentation.
Josh, thanks so much. Really excited to work with you and Bruce and the team again in 2024. To everyone on the call, big group today. Thanks for watching. My information is there on the screen. Please reach out to me. Let me do some work for you and price up your event. We'll hop on a call. And I look forward to hearing from everyone very soon. Thanks so much.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.